Hey YouTube, it's your girl Chic from Chic Say What. I am coming on this afternoon. I wanted to just talk about the state of Louisiana and the current situation they're in, dealing with or trying their best to navigate through the hurricane. Was that Hurricane Ida? And from what I'm hearing and reading, thus far, it's not really a lot of support that our people are receiving down there. I do have family in Louisiana, but they're not, in the area to where that's been, hit really hard, fortunately. But I know a lot of people do have loved ones there, or they may be there themselves. So I wanted to just come on today and just talk about it and just have an open space to discuss what's going on there, because I'm hearing some disturbing things uh, about what's going on there and the lack of support that people are receiving there. It's just giving me Hurricane Katrina vibes all over again. And that's not good, because we many of us may remember when our people there, fellow brothers and sisters, were displaced. They were placed in they were separated. Like, many of them never actually left the state and never even, I live in the state of Georgia. Many left Louisiana and never went back to Louisiana because they didn't really have anything to go back, quote unquote, home to. So they made their home in various locations wherever they were dispersed to. But yes, so if you are on at this time, please like, share, subscribe, share this live. I would like to get the conversation popping. Drop your comments in the chat. And I just want to talk about it because it's disturbing. It's a lot of foolishness going on in this world, but right now I just want to give my attention to some things that really matter, like, people lives. And what prompted me to want to jump on to do this live is, I was listening to, another content creator, and she talked about FEMA had put out there, hey, people in Louisiana, if you do need assistance, go online and apply for it. However, it is not guaranteed that you will get assistance. So if we're hearing about power outages, lack of gas, food shortage, like, how is this supposed to happen where somebody going online applying for some benefits? What, you supposed to just sit back and wait for email confirmation that's going to tell you, okay, we'll get back to you in 7 to 10 business days? Like, what exactly does that look like when someone is going online to request for assistance? I don't know what that looks like. And, someone also brought up a good point, which is, I don't know if you all are aware, but fairly recently, President Biden put out there that they may be here, but refugees from Afghanistan were coming over, and he wants the government to partner with Airbnb. Hey, Brittany, how are you? President Biden wants to partner with Airbnb to put up for housing for refugees coming from Afghanistan. So we can do that, but though we have this hurricane that we knew was coming, but we don't know what to do with those people. Like, I'm confused. Like, how is it that the people we can't even take care of home Okay, let me try to thank you for letting me know, Brittany. Let me know if it sounds better. How can we take care of others and before we take care of home? Please let me know, if my sound sounds better. I'm on my laptop. So, but that's what I look at it as far as when it comes to, us taking on bringing in refugees from Afghanistan. I mean, it's just not a good look when we have people that's coming from out of the country who haven't paid taxes into our government system. But though our people who do pay taxes, they're told when they are in need to go online and apply for assistance. And by the way, it's not guaranteed. So basically, you need to be using your own resources, your own coins to go ahead and book your hotel for you and your family. Thank you, Brittany, for letting me know. I was your YouTube was trying to mess with your stream because of the time. Girl, you just never know, because I ain't never had nobody else say anything about, my sound. And whenever I play it back, it sounds perfectly fine. So you don't know, but I do appreciate you letting me know. But I was just saying that as at this point, our fellow brothers and sisters in Louisiana aren't being taken care of during these times of needs with this hurricane that we knew was coming. However, our government is wanting to partner up with Airbnb to provide housing for the refugees coming from Afghanistan. Like, make it make sense. How is it that, okay, we said we have these resources to come through for, let's just say, our fellow neighbors, but though we don't have the resources to come through for our own family, like it make sense. And it's quite disturbing. Right now, I'm going to share my screen. I found an article where right now there's certain people in the government that are trying to get resources for our fellow brothers and sisters in Louisiana, but it's looking like it's going to be a fight. Like it ain't something that's going to come through all automatically. Why? I don't know, but I'm going to share my screen and show you. I found something that was posted like just an hour ago. So let me get this article up. Okay. So this is, this is on MSN.com, Fox Business. Fight looming in Congress over Ida emergency spending. What are we fighting about? Like, why is there a fight? Everybody across the globe see what's going on. I'm sorry, I'm confused on what the fight is about, but I'm going to carry on and read this article. Former Rep Pete King, this Republican in New York, knows something about trying to convince his colleagues on Capitol Hill to approve an emergency spending bill after a major natural disaster. He quotes, "I was not anticipating a fight at all," said King, after Superstorm Sandy lashed New York City, New Jersey, New England, and much of eastern seaboard in October 2012. Instead, it was like I was asking for foreign aid for the Soviet Union, said King, after Congress struggled to approve billions of dollars to help the region recover from the devastating storm. He also said, "I try to get along with people," sighed King, "but there are some people I never quite looked at the same after that." So it says, "And in the coming days, weeks, and perhaps months, there will likely be a demand for additional congressional spending to cover the cost of Hurricane Ida. The storm ravaged New Orleans, soaked the South. It then churned through Tennessee, Virginia, and Washington, D.C., pelting all in its wake with bathtubs full of rain and spinning tornadoes. We don't really know what federal resources are needed to help Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and other areas recover from Ida." In fact, many regions of Louisiana are off the grid right now, and maybe for weeks. I had heard that the people who lost power, it's probably can be up to like 3 weeks or more before they even get power back in. So again, sir, like, how are these people supposed to be going online to apply for resources? First of all, let's talk about the cell phone. You need to have something, an outlet or something to charge your cell phone with. So I would imagine a lot of these people have been walking around with dead cell phones for probably 2 days or more. A cell phone, typically, you probably ain't gonna get longer than a day worth of, a charge without you putting it on a charger. So if this storm came through, let's just say Sunday, we on Wednesday, them phones are dead. Stop playing. In fact, many regions of Louisiana are off the grid right now, and maybe for weeks. Pictures, video, phone calls, emails, pleas for help, and even stories about what happened may not be known for days. Airboats still haven't navigated all of the new tributaries and eddies carved by Ida in the deepest recess of the bayou. That's when local officials and lawmakers will really start to assess the recovery and infrastructure needs of multiple states bludgeoned by Ida's power. And they will come with hand in hand asking for assistance from federal government. So I ask, is this a setup? Like, you knew that this was going to be happening there. I might even show y'all something that's quite disturbing that even shows, someone had sent me something that showed that all of the hurricanes going back to Katrina all happened on August 31st. And it was different years, but they were all on August 31st. Again, make that part make sense. So basically, looking at historical data, we knew when this was going to pop off. So I'm trying to understand, why is it a delay for resources? This stuff should have already been and this should have been a situation where we just waiting to hit the button, because we already know it's going to be on and popping and people are going to need things. Why 3 days into the storm, we're now trying to have conversations about resources and getting approvals? Make it make sense. It makes me wonder, like, okay, are you setting our people up to fail? Are you wanting them to be removed from Louisiana? Are you trying to rush? Don't get me to start about FEMA camps and people believing that that's the plan, to rush our people into FEMA camps. And then once they get our people there, then they doing whatever the heck they want to do. Girl, hey, Brittany, girl, if it has to do with some backdoor deals, they never do anything out of the kindness of their hearts, right? I mean, it's like they're doing us a favor, but even they don't even be doing the favor, though. Like, even if you are trying to do it as a favor, you don't even be trying to come through as a favor. It would be like huffing and puffing. Okay, I guess if I need to give you some water. Like, that's the type of energy that it comes with. And it's really sad because, when you want your money, you want them taxes, you ain't got no problems with serving somebody talking about, okay, you in default, you ain't paid your taxes, this and that, or putting somebody out if they ain't paid they rent or they mortgage. But though, when it comes time for people like us to be in need and to need the resources that we actually paid into, then it'd be a whole problem. It doesn't make sense. I have this, let me see. I have this other article I'm going to share from USA Today also. So give me a minute. Let me share my screen. Y'all, we're going to talk about it today because I can't with the foolery. It's just too much. It's too much. Okay, so this is USA Today. Flood watches, warnings for 50 million people in Northeast as relentless Ida marches on. So again, we knew this was coming. Everybody been talking about it. The remnants of a relentless Hurricane Ida at the Northeast U.S. on Wednesday as the potential for life-threatening and damaging flooding stretched into New England. Look at that. That's crazy. So these people here, you telling these residents here, oh, get online and apply for some resources. And then you're going to throw in a caveat, oh, and there's no guarantee that you're going to get it. Okay, I'm sorry. So I'm curious to know what these requirements are going to be for these resources. I guess saying your house is now on the ground in sticks, I guess that's not necessarily a requirement or a prereq for you qualifying for resources, or you saying, okay, I'm homeless now and I got these 3 kids. Like, make it make sense. I cannot. In Maryland, one person is dead after heavy rains from the remnants of Ida flooded an apartment complex in Rockville, authorities said Wednesday. And in Pennsylvania, emergency officials rushed to evacuate about 3,000 people below a dam near Johnstown after hours of heavy rains triggered plans to ensure the safety of downstream residents. More than 50 million people in the Northeast alone remained under a flash flood watch or warning 4 days after Ida roared ashore in Louisiana as a Category 4 hurricane. So you guys, what I'm hearing is that Katrina was a Category 3. So what I've been hearing is that this hurricane that we knew was coming it was at a higher level than the one that we knew wreaked havoc on the state of Louisiana. So again, why are we now having conversations and trying to get approvals for getting people basic support such as food and shelter? That part. The winds had vastly diminished, but the storm was dishing out heavy rain, much of it in areas already saturated by recent deluges. Many areas along the path of Ida are likely to have rounds of rain over a 12 to 18 hour period. But intense rainfall can last 6 to 8 hours, according to the AccuWeather senior meteorologist Dan, we ain't gonna try to even say his last name, warned. The National Weather Service issued a flash flood watch for New York City until Thursday at 2 p.m. City emergency management officials warned that 5 to 6 inches of rain were expected and locally higher amounts of up to 8 inches possible. Wind gusts could reach 30 miles per hour. I've even heard that in some parts of Louisiana, the rain, I think they said it had gotten or it could get up to 20 inches. I'm trying to figure out what that even looked like. And then I don't know if you guys heard, but there was an older man, I think he was in his 70s the other day that was killed. He was eaten by I think an alligator. Yes, like he was outside for whatever reason, and I think the wife, heard him screaming or something. But yes, he died. I think that maybe was possibly Monday. Yes. What else they got? AccuWeather senior meteorologist Tom Kine said the city is on edge of a worrisome band of weather so severe that a tornado is not out of the question, as if we need something else. AccuWeather was forecasting 4 to 8 inches of rain for parts of West Virginia, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York State, and southern and central New England. Some areas could see 12 inches of rain. 2 million in Louisiana still without power amid stifling heat and shortages. Again, how are we getting online to apply for resources? I also was hearing that people who have, there's been talks of generators. Some people who have had generators, some have even died from, I guess, what is that? The inhaling of the carbon monoxide. So that's been going left. So even the generators haven't always been good for the people. And they've had some issues with that. But again, you got to have the money to be able to get a generator. Virginia was bracing for heavy rains, flooding, and possibly tornadoes Wednesday. Governor Ralph Northam declares a state of emergency. In Washington, D.C., all the cities testing and vaccine sites were closed Wednesday in preparation of the storm. Baltimore was handing out sandbags. Maryland emergency management officials were warning of winds gusting 35 miles per hour that could lead to downed trees, potentially causing power outages. So there goes that power outage. There's no power. And as I said, I had already heard that power would not be up probably for about 3 weeks. Hey, I was even on a live, someone's live yesterday, and they were saying someone had called into the live and they were saying that they are like an insurance adjuster. So they were going to be going into Louisiana, coming from out of state to, process claims. She was saying that even when she get there, she's going to have to probably stay about 2 hours outside of, where everything is taking place, because first of all, she need power. And then second of all, like, there's not really many resources or anything available as far as for her to try to, with hotels being available, like all of that, like she's forced to have to be out 2 hours just to be able to have, adequate housing to perform her job, to be able to have electricity, power, like gas, all of that. 2 hours. So that just means that if she's needing to go out there and assess the situation, for the claims, which I would imagine she would, that's a 2-hour drive. So we're going to say 4 hours round trip that she has to do daily for however long she's there to do the job. And that's the reality of the situation. And this is just one person. So I'm sure there's going to be other people within the field dealing with insurance that are going to be in that same situation again, hence why she has to be so far out, because there's that area can't accommodate everybody. So it's a whole entire mess, to say the least. We definitely, as a government, need to do better. I've never heard of, whenever there's things that, catastrophes and things like that happens that mainly impact other cultural groups. I've never heard of there being like a delay, or let's just take it back to just even 9/11. Like, do you guys recall, or, there being any delay in resources, or I remember them people was able to get counseling, like all kinds of stuff. Like, I don't recall. I remember, I was in like my about 20 when that happened, early 20s, but I don't recall it being an issue about getting resources, like getting approvals. To me, it's like, from what I can recall, it was just like, hey, whatever, New Yorkers, whatever you need, we're here, we got it. Like, it was just all hands on deck. That was like the vibe that I recall from back then when that took place. So going to Katrina, what do you recall during that time with the energy was? What I recall was a lot of back and forth, getting trying to get approvals for resources to be brought in, such as like water or food, having people packed into the stadium. Like, it was just a whole entire mess. And I remember it just being heavily discussed on large platforms, because people just didn't like how the situation was being handled. And now, fast forward to today with Hurricane Ida, unfortunately, I'm feeling the same vibes. I'm feeling the vibes of Hurricane Katrina versus the vibes of 9/11, where those resources were brought in immediately. So were those resources brought in immediately because of the people that it impact, the group of people that it largely impact? Because I'm pretty sure that most of those people that were impacted by it, they weren't people of color. They didn't look like me, So it is what it is, And then we got, the whole thing with, the government really is pushing for people to get the jab and things, and Black people. The last I checked, it was about 70% of us Black folks who really ain't really trying to go there. So to me, it just looks like a setup. Like, okay, well, let's create this situation that's going to displace the people, the Black people. Then we'll say, okay, well, we can provide you these resources, but let's have this conversation about your medical records, your shot records. Let's talk about it. So you to get these resources, yeah, we're gonna need you to do this, this, and that, because now you all going to be kind of closely in an environment, and we want to make sure everybody's safe. Like, I can just hear it now. And how many people who prior to were against wanting to, get the jab will now be in a situation to where they're going to feel like, okay, well, I need these resources. I have these kids that I need to look after. I have my elderly parents I need to look after. I got to do what I need to do to make sure that we're all good. So, okay, what do you want me to do? Like, it's just a sad reality of what this situation looks to be, because how do you see it any other way? Like, really, like, how do you see it any other way? Let me see. I have something else. Let me see if I can share with you this picture that I had of something that I found quite, that was pretty disturbing in regards to, the different hurricanes and the years that they took place. Let me see. I know I got it on my phone. Let me try to see if I can send it to myself, because I found it to be quite disturbing, and it just made me say, because I didn't know what else to do. What else do you do with this, with this type of information? Like, do you believe in coincidences? Like, really? Like, it just, when it comes to just the timing of everything, it's just a situation to where it's just like, okay, yeah, the writing on the wall that something's just not right, something, it's not right, and it's becoming so obvious to where I just can't help but to wonder if, certain things were put into place, just for the demise of our people. Let me see if I can show you what I was trying to send. So now it's not coming up. Let me see if I can email it. Okay, here it is. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I got it. I'm going to share my screen. And I just want to see, what you guys think of this. And if any of you seen this before. I'm trying to share, if it'll let me share my text message. No, it's not letting me. Let me see. How can okay. Let me try to email it to myself, because there's a photo, I just want you guys to try to see that someone sent me. So I'm going to email it to myself, and then I'll go into my email. Okay. Actual size. Okay. So let me check my email and see, because I really want you guys to see this, because it just has these dates and things of just the different hurricanes and things that that we've had. And the dates of them. So if all of that is true, then we knew this day was coming. So for our government to not be able to prepare, like, that part don't make sense. So, all right. So I got my email. Let me go into my email and share my email with you guys so you can see. Okay. So look at this, guys. Katrina, August 29th, 2005. Gustav, August 29th, 2008. Isaac, August 29th, 2012. Harvey, August 29th, 2017. And Ida, August 29th, 2021. So if five of these storms have happened on August 29th, so 4 prior to Ida, how were we not able to be prepared to assist the people? Make it make sense. How is that even possible? If it's down, what we gonna say, it was a coincidence that everything fell on August 29th? Okay. But again, scientists, you guys follow the data. The data shows when these storms are going to happen. So how are you not prepared for when this time comes? That's why I can't believe anything other than it being a systematic setup for our people, the demise of our people. And it's very unfortunate, because when situations like this happens, it points out, it puts the attention on the lack of money collectively that we have in our community, the money and the resources, whereas people not having the means to just up and move, to say, okay, well, I want to pick up and go to Georgia or go to North Carolina. Like, people don't have resources. People may not have family in the other states, or maybe not even have family who's able to take them in. People may not have reliable transportation to drive outside of the state of Louisiana. Or what about the gas? People may not have had gas, the access to gas to be able to fill up their vehicles to get out of the state of Louisiana. So there's many variables that goes into it. But when you have money and resources within your communities, you're able to overcome the variables that I just named. You're able to say, okay, fam, we're going to load up in the car and we're going to drive to Texas, California, wherever, and we're going to stay there for a little while to ride this out. We don't have those options collectively. Or let's just even go back to the generators. Generators are pretty expensive. We recently, purchased one, and just for my family size, that thing was about $1,200. So that's just one. There are different prices. But again, I've told you where people had talked about, there have been people who had actually died from, I guess, the leak of the gas or something, inhaling of something from the generator. From the generator. I don't know if it was the carbon monoxide, but people have died from using those, and it just didn't work out for them. So when people talk about the whole reparations and things like that, that's a real thing that we really need in our community for times like these. For when we come in situations to where, in order for us to save ourselves, we need money and resources. How do you protect yourself and your family in a situation like this without having money and resources? Like, you can't. You're completely relying on somebody else. And our culture as a whole, that's just what we often find ourselves doing, is relying on other people, other groups of people to help us, because we are at the bottom when it comes to the social economic class. We're at the bottom. It is what it is. Any data you go and research is going to show that. You're going to have your 1% or however many people in the Black community that got money, but collectively the Black people are at the bottom. They do not have the income like that to withstand situations like these. And we're seeing it play out in the news. Families outside of their homes, families sitting on the side of the street waiting for somebody to drive by to maybe come and help them or rescue them. Families actually sitting on top of roofs hoping somebody will see them before water rise up. Like all kinds of crazy. Tell me times where we've collectively seen other cultural groups happen to get it how they live like that during in the US, within our country. What other situation have we had where there's been other groups having to struggle through a traumatic time like this? I can't think of any. If you can please drop it in the comments. Let me know, because it just seems like when it comes to us, our lives, the value is just so kind of in the mud to where it's like we're an afterthought. And all we have is each other. Like we can't have a mindset to rely on anybody else to come and save us. Like we literally have to do it ourselves. Like we got to make it happen ourselves. And in many situations, we can make things happen ourselves. Just like recently, if any of you are familiar with Tariq Nasheed, he had raised, put a challenge out to raise like $1 million in like a certain window. I don't know if it was like 30 days, whatever it was. He met the goal. Actually, he exceeded the goal. And it was basically Black donors. From what I'd heard, like the largest donors were like maybe $10,000. But to get to $1 million, I mean, there were a lot of people who participated with the GoFundMe with raising that money for the FBA, Foundational Black Americans Museum. So we can come together when we want to. And that's what it comes down to, when we want to. And it'll be interesting to see with everything playing out, if we will see those people within our communities speak up, step up. Because I remember Katrina, you were hearing about celebrities kind of stepping up and doing some things. I think, Jay-Z and Beyonce, did some things. So it'll be interesting if we see, people, higher up people, the rich in our community step up and say, hey, I'm willing to help. I'm going to donate this. I'm going to do this and that. But it seems like back with Katrina, when that was happening, it was because it was being talked about how our government wasn't trying to come through for us. And so then people kind of started dipping into their own pockets to try to come through. And it's unfortunate because it shouldn't have had to come to that. If those 1%ers did want to help, it just should have been just in addition to whatever the government was coming through with, not, oh, okay, the government dragging their feet, so we got to come through to try to help out. And I'm just wondering if this is going to be, the same thing. So, I'm going to continue to watch it. For those of you who are on here catching this live, or any of you catch the playback, please drop a comment. Let me know what you're seeing. If you have been caught up in anything pertaining to this particular hurricane or any of the previous hurricanes, any ones such as the ones on my screen that Katrina, Gustav, Isaac, Harvey, Ida, let me know, what was your experience? What was your loved one's experience? Because fortunately, I've never been caught up in any of those. So I don't have any type of experience of trying to navigate through something like that. But I know a lot of people have. And as I've said earlier, many people who were displaced during 2005 following Katrina, they still never moved back to Louisiana. They stayed and just continued to make a home wherever they were kind of displaced to. And if you can recall, a lot of those people were separated from their kids, their families. Like it was just a whole mess with trying to link people back up with one another. I wondered if they still ever even worked through all that. Did like everybody find each other? Because I remember that was a thing where people, like parents, were trying to find their kids. Like it was a mess. Like I remember that was an entire mess with that whole situation. And I can only hope and pray that we do not have a repeat of that. But like I said, so far with the writing on the wall that I'm reading and the writing that everybody else can read as well, it looks like it's on that type of tip where this government gonna shade the F out of our people, and we gonna be a bugaboo creek. We gonna be ish out of luck. Like it is what it is. And we just got to keep our people lifted, help out however we can. It's just like with the pandemic, with this, it's just a lot going on. A lot going on. And we're just going to have to band together to get through these. What they say, what Kevin Samuels was saying, winter is coming. Like this is an example to me of, oh, winter is coming. You know, it's just a lot. It's just in the world, there's so much going on to where your head is on like a swivel as you're trying to pay attention to everything to make sure that you're good, your loved one's good. Food shortages. Have you guys peeped that? Make sure that you're good, you know, when it comes to your essentials, food. Food hasn't been on the shelves as much in a way of which they have normally in the past. So we have to just keep game, be on code, do your research. If you hear somebody chattering about something that sounds unfamiliar to you, such as like food shortage or just different things, take the time out to research it yourself and to become educated on things, because it's better to be prepared for what may or may not happen than to be caught out there and not be prepared at all. And now you in an entire situation, again, like the people of which I'm talking about, where you don't have the resources you need. Because there's a lot of information out there on the internet that's just talking about just the tough times that's headed our way. And a lot of it is pertaining to the food shortage, resources, things like that, our gas, like that's real stuff. So those are things that's just within my family we're doing with prepping for stuff like that, because the chatter is getting so loud to where you can't ignore it. So I ask you all to stop and just look into that as far as with just, you know, food in your local areas, the shipment of products, you know, that are coming from that normally gets imported, all of that. Because if things aren't able to be imported, how are they going to be able to get on our shelves? Remember, last year was hard with just getting toilet paper. Can you imagine going through that again? That's what I'm talking about. So be prepared. Look into, you know, the generators, just in case if you do have a power outage just for a lengthy amount of time. Because as they said in New Orleans, these people may be out of power for upwards of 3 weeks or more. That's a long time. And then if they did go shopping in preparation of the storm, as far as with your groceries, that's gone bad. So that's a waste of money right there. So it's just like, you got to just do your best. You got to prepare however you can, but to start with doing your research, having conversations with people, listening. And if somebody tell you something that, you know, that sounds unheard of, don't just dismiss it. Go out there and research that thing, because that's what I had to do. It's just like, what are you talking about? You know, food shortages, not as much food on the shelves and, you know, all of that. Like, I had to, you know, look into it myself to see like, wow, you know, that is a thing where food isn't, or even just in my local grocery stores where I see shelves aren't as stocked as they once were. Or, hey, have you guys heard about just even pricing of things being expected to go up 20 to 30% in the coming months? Like stuff like that. Like that's real. Like hamburgers going up to about $10. Like that is a real thing. You guys need to really do your research. Let me see while I'm on here if I can find an article that talks about with the food shortage. So you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about, because this is real stuff. Yeah, this is real stuff here. And I've been kind of following this for a minute. Okay, so let me see. I'm going to share this article right here. Let me share my screen so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But this stuff, you know, there's a lot of people out there talking about stuff like this. Okay. Massive U.S. food shortage coming. Get a backup supply ready right now. This is from April. Foodcollapse.com. So the Hunger Relief Organization Feeding America estimates that our country will be short 8 billion meals in the next 4 months. Okay, so let's do our math. That was April, May, June, July, August. 4 months was just August. So we in September. So we're there right now. So let's carry on with this article. Their food banks put out 3 times the usual this year due to COVID-19, joblessness, and homelessness, totaling over 17 billion pounds of food. On average, at least 10% of Americans cannot afford food that contains actual nutrition, organic whole food, and non-GMO. Currently, 1 in every 4 families are experiencing food insecurity during this pandemic. 1 in 6 families face hunger crisis periodically, and 1 in 10 American adults, about 18 million, literally don't have enough food to eat right now. Food banks simply can't handle the upswing. Plus, donations and volunteers are also running scarce. I can believe that. If you guys, wherever you live, if you notice just places that are willing to pay workers, everybody's hiring. Like have you noticed that everywhere you go, especially like your restaurants, your fast food eatery places, like everybody's hiring. And it's not just food eatery places. It's just like everywhere like you go, people are hiring. And it says to handle the influx of the needy, the number of food banks would need to at least double, if not triple. So why isn't the U.S. government stepping in to help? Again, there's that question mark. Can you say socialism without coughing into your mask? Even SNAP food assistance program is falling short. What's the solution then? Will self-reliance determine 2021 survival of the fittest? It sure is looking that way. Get ready for the next scandemic or plandemic now, because it's coming to America soon as a core strategy to the socialist communist takeover by the Biden CCP regimen. Then it says prepper sites have been warning Americans for years, and the toilet paper panic was just a minor foreshadow of a grim future for the food supply. It's a real thing. Like, and then, you know, we've been hearing about as far as the moratorium with the people who have been renting. If you hadn't been paying your rent, you know, the landlords can, as of Monday, they were able to start the eviction process. Like, so from what I'd heard from one news outlet, they said that's expected to impact roughly about 3 million people in America. That's a lot of people. So where are these people supposed to go? We already just have, you know, our tent cities in places like California and San Francisco, LA. And I'm sure you probably got them in other cities and other states, and I'm not familiar with. So if you already have people who are already living like that pre this moratorium situation, what are these places finna look like now with additional people not having some place to live? Again, winter is coming. There's just so many things that's showing demise for our people, to where we have to look at what's going on and come up with game plans of how we can work through them. You know, and a lot of that may mean, you know, joining together with your fellow neighbors, family, friends, to get through all of this, because it's a lot. So you're talking about homelessness, then we didn't talked about food, excuse me, food shortages. Then we got the virus going on. Like there's a lot. And then you're dealing with, you got the children getting impacted. Kids now, a lot of the kids across America now physically being back in school versus your digital learning. College level kids, I recently learned, my niece, she's at TSU. She's home for this weekend for the holiday, but she's saying, hey, for Thanksgiving, when I come home for break, I'm not going back until January, because the teachers are coming into contact with people who have the virus. So right now they're literally at their schools in their dorm doing digital learning from their dorms. Yep. They didn't even get a full week of going to class. Nope. They might have went to class 1 or maybe 2 days, and then that was it. And they've been in their rooms. So from what I've been told, come November, all of the colleges where there's housing, when they leave to go home for the break, so I don't know if that be the fall break, they're not coming back until the next semester. And that's just if, things are looking better, but they're not going to go back for the rest of 2021. They'll go try it again after the new year. So it's just a lot that we got to be focused on. And it starts with us just researching these things and seeing how, or if it does impact you or your loved ones, speaking to them, coming up with a game plan on how to navigate through the various scenarios and banding together, excuse me, more than ever to work through them, because that's the only way we'll be able to survive any of this. We'll have to come together to survive it. As they say, our Black people, we the only ones that can't work together, come together. Like this is a time where we're going to have to, in order for us to collective, as a people, survive this. We have to do as other cultures do, that band together just on any given day. Like right now, there's this milk crate challenge. We got to get off the crates, get your A down, and come over here, brother and sister, and let's talk about how we finna navigate through all these crises that's going on. Like there's no time for the dumb stuff, like the shenanigans. Who comes up with this stuff? And why we the ones got to always be the one to take it to a whole nother level to make it go viral? Sometimes I wonder if it's a setup. Somebody said the government went and put them crates in the Black neighborhoods. Like, that's what it seemed like, because we the only ones that's doing it. I ain't seen nobody else doing it outside of us yet. If you have, let me know, drop the link, but I ain't seen it. But if they are doing it, they ain't doing it on the level we doing it, because you know what they doing? They're preparing. There's so many content creators, other outlets that I tune into that's already on this stuff that I'm sharing with you guys. And they've been on this stuff for years. We're not talking about stuff like this. That's why we get left behind, because we be the last to know. You ever heard that? Black folks be the last ones to know stuff. Partly because we out there doing stupid stuff like climbing crates, breaking our neck, knowing we ain't got no insurance. Having whole shootouts, and somebody like, oh, John about to go over there and get on that crate. As soon as he get on the top of it, I'm finna pop him. Like, really, like folks legit out there plotting, because they know he finna get up on that crate and he ain't finna have time to do nothing else but to fall off of it as old boy in a car driving by popping. Like, make it make sense. It's embarrassing. We have to do better. That stuff I be talking about, y'all. This is that stuff I be talking about. So I got this channel be coming on here to just bring the foolishness that goes on within our community, and to talk about ways that we can do better, because we definitely can do better. So thank you for joining. For any of you guys that did catch my live, please like, share, subscribe. It helps with the algorithm, when you do like, so, more people can see it. But it's a lot of information that I did touch on. And I really feel like it's information that our people really need to know, because we don't know it, and I think largely is because we're just not really, it's just not an interest. It's not an interest. So when it's not an interest, then you just don't know. People don't talk about it because it's like, okay, well, people's not interested in hearing about saving lives and preparing and, being prepared for the winter. Like our people, it's just like it's almost like we have this invincible mentality. And then, there's one thing to have strength, but it's a whole nother thing to be ignorant to things that are out there, especially the obvious, when it can be something that can really benefit our community as a whole and save lives. Because a lot of this information that I was dropping today in this video, it's about saving lives, bettering our community. That's the only tip that I am on anything that I do, any of these videos. It's for the betterment. It's for the betterment of our people. Because somebody got to be out here telling us, to do better and dropping this knowledge and this information. But we have to be open-minded to want to receive it, because we don't want to perish as a people. And the reason why is simply out of ignorance. Like, that's crazy. Like, that is insane. And we're already the smallest population, about 12%. So listen, I didn't even talk about what percentage of us are locked up. Like, so we really can't afford to be getting dropped off like that and knocked off. We can't. We not big enough. Our community isn't big enough to be doing all that. We have to, what they say, there's strength in numbers. We have to come together. We have to. So thank you for joining. Please, again, like, share, subscribe, drop your comments. Let me know your thoughts. And everybody, take care of yourselves and your neighbors, your family. And until the next broadcast, peace.